Most busy men do not fail fat loss because they lack motivation. The reason they fail is because they're doing way too much of the wrong stuff. They're doing too many workouts, too many cardio sessions, and too many diet rules. And ironically, that's exactly what keeps them stuck. Because here's the truth: fat loss is not about doing more, it is about doing the right minimum. So today, I'm going to show you the smartest minimalist fitness routine for busy men to drop body fat in 2026. Now, I have run 6 marathons, competed in 3 bodybuilding shows, and done 2 high rocks competitions. And I've helped hundreds of career-driven men who are busy with family, kids, wife, drop 30 to 50 pounds while still working full-time and raising families. And almost all of them started overwhelmed. And by the end of this video, you'll know the minimalist diet rule that controls fat loss automatically, the least amount of training that is required to preserve lean muscle mass, and then also the smartest cardio strategy for busy schedules, and the hidden lifestyle lever that burns way more calories than your typical workout does. So here's the plan. We're going to break this into 3 separate pillars. Number 1 is the minimalist diet. Number 2 is the minimalist training. And then number 3 is the minimalist cardio and lifestyle. So let's start with the most important one. Now, before I do, I think I should probably tell this, but I am a minimalist at heart. And it's quite funny because the older that I've gotten, I'm 25 years old now, how do I phrase this? I don't want to say the least I own now, but the less I've given up in terms of I don't own that many things. I don't have as much clutter, both physically and then mentally as well. And what I've noticed for myself by just reducing all these just like cluttery things that you don't really need that much in order to be happy, to survive, to make progress. And the exact same thing applies with fitness. We all think that we need to be doing these crazy routines, that we need to keep on adding more and more and more to our plate. But what I found for myself and my clients, and honestly, like any successful person in this space, and not just in fitness, but in life in general, they keep their lives very simple, very clean. They have a small group of friends. They have a small group of diet rules. They have a small set of workout rules. They have just easy, repeatable things that they can do on a daily basis with zero overwhelm. Because think about it. The more things you have on your plates, the more things that you just have to think about and worry about, the more clutter that's in your physical space and in your mental space, the more overwhelmed you're going to feel, right? And especially with social media nowadays, there is so much information out there, so much conflicting information. One person will say this, the other person will say the exact same, will say the exact opposite, but both look phenomenal and both get results. So you're like, well, what the heck? What do I do? And what actually works for me? Because when it comes to fitness, yes, there are a couple simple rules, but it's not like a one size fits all type of thing, right? There's no cookie cutter thing that, yeah, everyone has to follow in order to see results. But let's start with the most important point, which is the minimalist diet. I like to call this the appetite automation system. So most people believe that fat loss requires complicated meal plans, macronutrients mathematics, and cutting out foods, pizza, burgers, fries. But have you ever noticed how some people stay lean effortlessly while barely dieting? Like you'll look at their diet and like, how the heck do you have 6-pack abs? How are you able to do that? You may look at my diet and look at the amount of food that I'm able to eat. And you're like, how on earth are you still able to maintain 6-pack abs year round, run all these marathons, do all these high rocks competitions, compete in bodybuilding shows while running a successful business? How are you able to do that? The truth is, the best fat loss diet is the one that reduces decisions, not one that adds more decisions, reduces them, right? So here's the diet principle: calorie friction. So instead of having to count every single grain of foods to the gram every single day, which for a lot of busy men is either annoying, overwhelming, or just like, I just can't be bothered, right? Because you're busy. You want to do other things. You want to focus on other more important tasks in life than having to bring out the food scale everywhere you go. So try to create meals that are very difficult to overeat. So think of your lean proteins, your high fibrous foods, and high water volume foods. This works because satiety per calorie drives intake. And now research consistently shows that diet plus exercise produces far greater fat loss than exercise alone, emphasizing energy intake as the primary driver. So if you can literally control your diet while doing the workouts almost as like the cherry on top as a bonus, you will be successful on your fat loss journey. But so many people have it the other way around, where they think they need the perfect workout program and then they'll just focus on the diet on the side. No, you have it the other way around. If you can focus on your diet first, that'll drive most of your fat loss results. And then using the workouts is almost like a nice little added bonus to build more muscle, preserve more muscle, increase your cardiovascular health, burn an extra couple calories. Then yeah, that's like the best of both worlds. But if I could only pick one, and that's why we're starting with obviously point number one, I would focus on the diet first. And now I have traveled a lot, especially this past year. Like all of 2025, I think I've traveled at least once a month for the entire year. So over 12 times to different countries. I went to Dubai, all across the states, Ohio, LA, to different networking events, mastermind events. I went to Mexico, went to Hawaii for a fitness retreat. Like I've done a lot of traveling, yet I was still able to do all these incredible things when it came to obviously my marathons, my high rocks, and my bodybuilding shows. And so whenever, like, of course, I didn't have like a set environment where I had my food scale, I had my regular foods on me. So when I couldn't actually track my macros and track my food, I just kept my meals very simple. So whole foods most of the time. So think of like your eggs and potatoes. I had that like for one meal, for example. Another meal would be like chicken and veggies. And then I also had like my infamous protein sludge that I have with some berries, some fruits, apples, whatever. And my body fat dropped without even thinking about it because I was eating all these whole foods that were very high in volume, but very low in calories. And so I was automatically in a calorie deficit most of the time without even thinking about it, without having to track my calories, without having to track my food. It was easy. It was effortless. If anything, it was difficult for me to actually get most of the food down. Like I was eating these massive plates full of veggies, avocados, some healthy fats, of course, are required, some lean proteins, chicken breast I love, right? And fat just like melted off effortlessly, especially when I combine this with some of the other things that I'll mention in today's live stream as well. And now one of our clients in the Barbarian squad, a corporate lawyer, lost 38 pounds eating the exact same breakfast and lunch daily. And now what he told me is that I didn't lose fat from being more disciplined, is what he realized. I lost fat from repetition, meaning that I kept my breakfast the same. I kept my lunch the same. And the amount of decision fatigue that reduced for him was mind-boggling. And guess what? Now he could actually focus on work, the task at hand, and not have to worry about counting macros, counting food, all these other things, right? And so a hidden driver of fat gain is decision fatigue eating, which no one thinks about. How many decisions do you make per day? You make thousands. How many food decisions do you make per day? Probably thousands as well, right? And so the more choices, typically, the more calories. Now, this minimalistic approach removes all of that. So once again, if you can keep your meals as simple as possible, your body fat will just melt off without even thinking about it. So let's move over to point number two, the minimalist training. This is like the muscle insurance policy. So your goal when you're in a calorie deficit, when you're trying to lose body fat, it isn't necessarily to maximize muscle growth. It is to protect it because naturally speaking, right? If you're eating less calories than you burn, what is required in order to lose body fat, it becomes increasingly more difficult, especially as you get more advanced, the deeper and deeper you get into this, to build more muscle. But you can still very easily protect, maintain, preserve your muscle by keeping this in check. And that requires far less volume than most people think. We all think we need to be doing 20, 30, 40, 50 weekly sets per muscle group per week. And that could literally take you hours upon hours every single day in the gym just for a workout. But most busy men do not have time for that. I do not have time for that. The average bodybuilders don't even do that, right? Like people who do this for a living don't even do that much, right? And so here's the minimalist training principle: minimum effective dose. So research on resistance training shows even very low volumes in terms of like sets per muscle group per week can maintain strength and body composition. But here's the thing: when intensity is kept high. So you cannot just reduce your volume, so reduce your sets, but then also reduce the intensity. You got to keep one high. You can either keep the intensity high and volume low, or volume high and intensity low. But you're far better off keeping the intensity higher and volume lower. You get the most bang for the buck that way, and at least you won't be half-assing your workouts. You're going in there with intent, you're breaking a sweat, you're progressively overloading, you're still getting stronger, and you're protecting that muscle in a quick, efficient way. You're in and out in 30, 45 minutes, as opposed to dropping the intensity, but having to do so many sets, so much volume, and you're there for like hours, right? It's like we're all about efficiency here. What gives us the best bang for the buck? It is to drop the volume and add the intensity, right? This can help you preserve the muscle while you're losing the body fat. Now, some evidence suggests only 3 to 5 hard sets per muscle group per week can preserve lean muscle during fat loss phases. Think about it: 3 to 5 sets, hard sets per muscle per week. That's like for your chest, doing either one exercise of bench press for 3 to 5 sets, or doing a bench press, one exercise followed by another, maybe a chest fly, 2 to 3 sets each per week. Like that is like, it's kind of like ridiculous how little that is. But if you bring the intensity, you can very easily still maintain what you have, right? And so to translate this, you don't need 2-hour workouts. You don't need fancy workout splits, and you don't need endless accessory work, isolation work. What you need is heavy compound lifts. Think of the exercises that require multiple muscle groups: your bench press, your rows, your pull-ups, upright rows, overhead presses, squats, deadlifts, the big meat and potato exercises that give you the best bang for the buck. Go close to failure, right? Like your reps towards the tail end of your reps of your set should start to slow down. Like if it's a walk in the park, if your reps don't slow down towards the end, go harder, train harder, right? You're only there for 45 minutes, so you might as well like give it like a fair shot. And because you're only doing a couple of sets, it's like you might as well milk out as much as you can from those sets, right? And then lastly is consistency. Like really focus on that. If you're in the gym for 1 week, but then you skip the next week, like, yeah, you'll be losing muscle. You have to be consistent week after week, month after month. But because you're only spending 30 to 45 minutes inside of the gym, it becomes increasingly more easier to stay consistent, right? And now when I was doing my bodybuilding preps, or not bodybuilding, I meant marathon preps, I did 3 the past 3 months, actually. Yeah, I did one in December, I did one in January last month, and I did one literally 2 weeks ago. 3 back to back to back, month after month after month. Now, during this prep, I reduced my lifting volume, right? But my strength stayed stable, my body fat maintained, even dropped a bit, and my time, more importantly, my time freed up to obviously do my marathon prep, but then also to do other things outside of the gym. We do not want to be living in a gym. We want to use the gym to give us more energy, to give us more stamina, to give us more confidence, to live life outside of the gym. But so many people have it backwards. They're like, oh, I live in a gym. But then, okay, cool, you're in a gym for like most of your time. But then, like, what's the point? You don't get to experience the fruits of your labor, right? Like the reason we want to get in shape is so we can travel, we can explore, we can do more things with that healthy, active, energetic body, right? And so a busy dad inside of our program trains 3 days per week for 45 minutes, right? It's like nothing, 135 minutes per week. If you break it down like that, that's like nothing. You would probably scroll more on your phone in a day than you do that, right? But guess what happens? Within those 3 45-minute sessions per week, down 31 pounds, with zero burnout and no missed sessions. So here's how I want you to think of your workouts. Think of each set that you do like an investment. Now, after the first few sets, your return drops pretty quickly. Now, this minimalistic approach maximizes your ROI. And there's something called junk volume as well, where if you do anything more beyond a certain threshold of like volume for your workout, it starts to become less productive, right? Like once you're in this kind of like zone of like you maximize your sets, you maximize your gains, your workouts. But if you go beyond that, your fatigue is just too high. You're not able to like give it like your intensity, give it your all. And then you start to go into like this junk volume territory where every consecutive set following that, and it's been shown per session, like between 9 to 11 sets, once you go above that, you're not able to like really give it your intensity. You're a lot more fatigued and you're not able to go as close to failure as you were at the start of that session where you're most fresh, you have the most amount of energy, and you're able to like really give it your all during those hard sets. So once again, don't think that more is always better. Sometimes pulling back and doing less is far, far better, especially when it comes to a consistency standpoint, which most busy men really struggle with. Now, moving on to point 3, the minimalist cardio and lifestyle. These are like the hidden fat loss engines. Here's what most people get wrong. They try to burn fat during their workouts, but most fat loss largely happens outside of your workouts. Whoa, what? Crazy, I know, right? But this minimalist cardio principle, number 3, is need dominance. And so you burn most of your calories walking, standing, moving, doing the chores, pacing around, fidgeting, me moving my hands right now, like all these small little things that we don't consider as actual exercise add up all throughout the day to burning hundreds of extra calories that are unaccounted for. That's where the majority of the people burn most of their calories. So you don't burn most of your calories during your cardio session. You burn most of your calories like outside of the cardio session, ironically. And all of this is NEAT, which stands for your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And for most people, NEAT burns far more calories than formal exercise. Exercise alone typically produces modest weight loss unless it's combined with diet and daily movement changes. And so instead of adding more cardio to your plate, right? Like adding more to your plate, just replace your sedentary time. So a couple of examples, do walking calls. Instead of sitting down, taking a call, if you can, browse around, walk around, pace around while doing a call. Park further away from the grocery store, from the office, from wherever you're going. Do standing meetings. Get a walking pad if you can. And say yes to grocery shops. Like if your partner tells you like, hey, we're going to Costco, instead of saying no, say like, yes, let's freaking do it. View it as an opportunity for you to get extra steps in, burn extra calories, right? Running errands, doing the chores. Say yes to these things. Not only will you be more productive, you'll be burning more calories. And you get the exact same calorie burn for far less fatigue, right? Like how fatiguing is it to run on a treadmill every single day? I went to the gym today and I was doing my warm-up on the treadmill and someone next to me was running. And this is coming from a marathon runner, by the way, right? I'm like, I am so glad I'm not running on the treadmill right now because I hate just the thought of having to run on a treadmill. I hate it. Hate it. I love running outside, getting fresh air, getting some vitamin D, working on my tan, listening to a podcast, but having to go on like this hamster wheel, like this treadmill, like going nowhere, just staring at the wall in front of me. Time just goes by so slowly and I dread it. People who do it, I respect. Like if you love it, keep on doing it. But like besides the point. But yeah, walking, doing the chores, doing the dishes is far less fatiguing as well. Now, one CEO inside of our program added 0 workouts. 0. We just added 12,000 steps daily and we turned his meetings that were sitting down into walking meetings. And he lost 18 pounds as a result. So your cardio should improve your health, should increase your steps and reduce your stress and not destroy your recovery. Especially, I see so many people make this mistake where they go hard with their cardio, but then guess what? They're sore, they're tired. And guess what that affects? That affects their workouts, their weight training sessions. So now they're actually getting weaker in their workouts, but not because they're not able to recover enough in time for their weight training sessions, especially their leg days. And then they end up with like these skinny legs, the marathon running legs physique that no one wants, right? So you got to protect your muscle. And the way you do that is not by beating up your body and your joints and connective tissues by doing endless amount of cardio, beating up your joints on the pavement, beating up your connective tissues. It's to do something so low impact that you can sustain, ideally forever, and use that as a tool to improve your recovery, reduce your stress, improve your cardiovascular health while burning calories without it interfering with your workouts. That is the key right there. So whatever that is for you, do that. It could be walking, could be swimming, could be on the elliptical, Stairmaster, right? Something easy, effortless, almost. Now, to summarize this, if you are busy, do this. When it comes to your diet, eat the same meals. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, at least Monday through Friday. You're already going to work. You already have a set schedule. You already have a set routine. You might as well combine your meals into that as well. You don't need more variety. You need more consistency. So focus on protein and fiber-rich meals. This reduces your decision fatigue. When it comes to your training, as little as 2 to 4 workouts per week. Focus on the compound lifts, keeping the intensity high, and you can drop the volume a bit, so you're not spending hours in the gym. Now, when it comes to your cardio, walk daily. Replace sitting and keep stress low. You don't need to be running marathons every single day. Coming from a marathon runner, you don't need to be doing that, unless you obviously want to be a marathon runner, but I assume most busy men watching this do not want to do that. But that is it. Very simple. No extremes, no overwhelm, just precision minimalism. Because the real goal isn't just losing body fat here. It is to reclaim your control, right? Reclaim your confidence, your energy, your identity, and not becoming a gym rat who lives in the gym, only eats Tupperware, chicken, broccoli, and rice. Like, no, that's not what we're doing here. That's not what we want to do. It's becoming a man who leads from the front, leads their family, leads their friendships with the confidence and energy that they have now gained through this minimalistic system. So if you are a busy guy who wants to drop 30 to 50 pounds without sacrificing your favorite foods, spending hours in the gym, or your family or your time, you can book a free consultation call with me down below, where we'll essentially go over your current goals. We'll see exactly how much weight you're looking to lose. We'll go over your current struggles. We'll see exactly what's holding you back right now from achieving those goals. And we'll create a game plan, a system together to help you absolutely crush their goals in the next couple of months. If that sounds good to you, link will be in the description down below, and I'll see you all there. Peace.